Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I have to find that. I have to find that song again. There's who was that group that produced that song? I'll find it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. And then if I play it, of course, I'll get dinged for copyright. You know what? I think I have to have, and I know what that may be. Have somebody make that for me, but I digress. Hey everybody, good Wednesday, what's left of it. Well actually, it's for some people Thursday, okay? Hey, I want to have a little fun here and clean up something, because in the run-up to this show, whenever I put up that I'm coming in to start a live stream, there are a number of people that go on to the chat room and they all, quote, know each other, unquote, and so they begin this dialogue. And John Akala says, I saw an article in the Mercury News today that Oakland Stadium lease can still fall apart despite lease details agreement. It was published by blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's the backstory, okay? First of all, I'm going to be frank with you. I don't like those guys, and the reason why I don't like those guys is because how they treated me. I have decided an adversarial relationship with the Bay Area media because of the fact that they've treated me that way, and I've been nice until I decided 2 years ago to stop being nice and start being aggressive and start saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to tech you out of the way because of the way they've been treating me. I'll give you an example. One of them, whose name I will not mention, but is one of the authors in the report, comes up to me at a local place, a historic place in Oakland called the Alley. He's drunk, and he's, well, you know, do you have permission to film that girl? And I'm thinking, what? And in the back of my mind, and he goes, do you know who I am? And in order to get rid of the dude, all right, I said, yeah, how you doing, okay? And it was a lady friend of mine that was singing and I'm videoing, right? But he comes up like that, and I'm thinking, there was a part of me, I don't get into bar fights, but what it boiled down to and how he acted drunk was, hey, I'm really jealous that you're with this attractive white girl. He's a white guy. That's how he acted, all right? That person is one of the people that wrote the piece that you're talking about. And so what they're really responding to, all right, it's funny how things are, huh, right? What they're really responding to is my vlog news earlier this week, where I simply said that the vote on Friday was a formality. And you know, I've talked about it before here, and I said, hey, you know what, why would the Joint Powers Authority Board put Scott through the trouble of going to get an agreement, all right, and based on issues that the Raiders and the JP had identified, then the lawyers worked together, they smooth it out, then they put out a public agenda, all right, a public agenda that says, hey, item 6A is going to be voted on in public. Folks, the Joint Powers Authority Board is not going to embarrass its executive director on the way to the possible approval of a deal that will give it more money in one fell swoop, in one transaction than it's ever received in its history. So basically the piece, I'm going to save you the trouble of reading it, don't, because all it consists of is Scott saying, okay, well, here's what could happen, which means that these, you know, dudes called and ostensibly said, hey, this can't be a slam dunk. This can't be what Zenny says it is, right? I mean, I can hear them. I can quite literally hear these guys, you know, saying that to Scott, because they're upset that when it comes to this issue and the way that I do media, I rule the roost. They hate it, all right? So, and rather than partner with me, I mean, this goes back a long way. I remember I had an idea called the Monty Pool Show. You heard it, the Monty Pool Show. And the idea this was that Monty would have, and I still actually have, a blog post about him called, you know, Monty Pool, and called the Monty Pool Show. And the idea at the time was to have a kind of 3-platform media presentation. And the way the media presentation would work is that on TV 20, the same, in fact, here it is, the same broadcast will also appear as a YouTube video on this blog. This is what I made for Monty Pool right here, okay? See, this is called the Monty Pool Show. See that? All right. That was good. This goes all the way back to 2006 when Monty was writing for the Oakland Tribune, okay? All right? The Monty Pool Show still exists to this day, okay? Because I was very proud of the idea and was very innovative. And so I reached out to TV20, a guy named Tony Rizzelli, I believe his last name was, loved the idea, but guess what? Martin Reynolds, then the editor of the Tribune, basically said no. And not only did he say no, he was really being a butthole about it. And I told him so later, you know. Didn't like at all the way he treated me. I mean, for no reason, okay? It would have been a beautiful win-win for the Oakland Tribune, TV 20, and then have this blog platform, right? And for Monty, right in the middle of it, because he would have been getting money from all kinds of different places. So, but the reason why I come off the way that I do today is for examples like that. These guys have treated me like crap for no reason. Now, in this case, that helps Monty, right? Helps them. But yeah, you say jealous children. And so that's why I haven't gone away. Meanwhile, you have people who've gone on to other things or whatever. I built my own platforms as I did then and I do now. All right? Yeah, Sean Watts says hater. So I'm giving you a full picture of what happens and why the news that you wrote was essentially Scott appeasing them because they have to come up with something. And the editor said, go out there and see if you can trump Zenny and give us the clear picture because it can't possibly be what Zenny says it is. I can hear them saying that. Well, too bad. All right? So Scott gives them some gobbledygook because Scott is a fair guy who tries to make everybody happy. And he does a good job of it far more often than not. That's his personality, okay? He's good at playing politics like that. So that's what you're seeing, okay? Sean Watts says, if you need security, you have my back? Hey, man, I might hold you to that one day. I'm serious. No, I mean, when you have someone who's, and I'm going to say this straight out, African-American, running their own ship, all right? And male. Okay, you'll find more people who want to cut you down than support you. They cannot, it's just like they just can't deal with it. There are those people out there who are not like that, like those of you watching tonight, which I appreciate. But I'm giving you the full picture of where that doggone article came from. That's where that article came from. It's BS, folks, okay? Now, if we're just for grins, I could decide I want to pick a fight with them and say, and make a whole blog post about how wrong they are, but then that gives them attention. Forget it. Why bother? All right? I like where I sit. All right? So, but the whole point is this. The board is not going to do that. Okay? Because it would be a complete reversal of everything the board has agreed to, either in part or in full, to this point. It's not going to go up and say, okay, well, no. All right? Or, you know, we changed our mind and, oh, you know, no. All right? That would be unprecedented in Coliseum, Joint Powers Authority, or board, because we've had a private board history. All right? So that's what's happening. So let's go on to other better conversations, but I wanted to get that out of the way up front because it was an interesting conversation. I thought I thought you should know the truth behind that particular situation. I mean, look, what was the Oakland Tribune? If you listen to the press conference where Antonio Brown was introduced, you didn't hear the Oakland Tribune. You heard I think Bay Area News Group, right? Uh, they have basically ignored Oakland. And these are organizations that were the Oakland Tribune. So they have no love for the name Oakland Tribune. There's only one Oakland Tribune Twitter account, and that's one that I call the soul of Oakland Tribune. I call it a ghost. But the whole purpose was to preserve the name Oakland Tribune. All right? So, that's what's happening with that. Now, let's get to the really exciting stuff. Antonio Brown. And by the way, Raiders signed wide receiver Terrell Williams. So you've got Antonio Brown. You know Terrell Williams won a 4.5 40 at the combine. And you combine that with the speed of Antonio Brown, and you're looking at a new passing game for the Raiders, folks. I mean, you are looking at a new passing game. I mean, new passing game. New. Now, if the Raiders can hold on to Jared Cook, ooh, doggy. Ooh, doggy. I mean, they will be ready to go no huddle, I would assume, I would hope, and just simply pass the lights out. And here you have Antonio Brown saying that he wants to go past Jerry Rice. Did I hear that correctly? All right. So let's see because I know they have it here. How many of you have actually seen the press conference? I saw the press conference, all right? I saw it. If you didn't see it, I'm going to play. It's rather long, so I'm not going to play. Well, actually, it's like 28 minutes. I'm going to play part of it. Part of it, okay?
Raider Nation.
Here it is.
I am so excited to sit next to Antonio Brown and his entire family. Watching these kids run around upstairs makes me feel good. I'm the oldest of 7. I get a chance to get some life in this building, and I mean that literally and figuratively. These young kids running around, breathing some life in this building, and that's what Antonio is going to do for this football team. And I can tell you over the years, I've watched him practice at least 10 to 15 times in my duties as a broadcaster. In Latrobe, Pennsylvania, in the heat, I watch this guy practice. He's as good of a practice football player and works as hard as any football player I've ever seen in my life. And when we came here, John and I talked about finding passionate football players that love the game, that practice hard and play hard. And all I'm going to tell you is Raider Nation we got a little better today, and it's all because of the way this guy plays football. Antonio Brown.
Thank you, Coach. I'm extremely grateful to be here. What a great opportunity for me and my family. I'm excited just how I got here, and I'm looking forward to making these guys proud.
Hey everyone, Katie and Everett on either side of that mic, please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation. Somebody wants daddy.
KyleMartinRaiders.com. Antonio, congratulations. What does it mean to follow in the footsteps of legendary wide receivers like Cliff Branch, Fred Biletnikoff, Tim Brown, Jerry Rice later in his career? What does that mean for you to follow behind them and wear the silver and black?
Well, it's legendary. It's an honor to be here. I know some tremendous guys been in this building. It's a historic organization with some preeminent players like you just mentioned. And I talked with Coach Gruden, and I told him all those guys, it's great guys. He's been around them and coach them. And I'm just here as a sponge to soak up every information Coach got, to be as successful I can be and to help the team take it to a new level. So I'm just excited being in the same buildings with guys who've been great from the past. But I'm excited to be here and help things go to another level as far as the winning environment.
Matt Schneidman with Bay Area News Group. Antonio, you seem pretty excited to work with Derek Carr. What about your guys' partnership excites you?
just refreshing. I think he's hungry for success, hungry for turning the organization around, hungry to get on the winning side of things, and I'm just hungry for the same thing. So I think we stand for the same causes, God-fearing men, family first type people, and we just want to be the best high craft, putting in work in the meetings on the field. I think he's like a sponge, just trying to absorb everything from these guys to my left and my right to be able to help the team be successful.
Antonio, Vic Tafer from The Athletic. Take me through yesterday. You're coming to California, Oakland, first time in the building, meeting up with Derek Carr. What was it like yesterday, the whole day?
Well, it's a great experience. It's been going really fast. I'm just trying to, take it in. But it's all God's plan, man. It's an honor to be here with Mr. Mayock, Mr. Gruden, around some great players. It's a great opportunity, and I'm ready to just get to work and insert some fresh air and some new energy around here, and hopefully develop some great attributes.
To your left, Antonio, Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press, Democrat. You've generated a lot of headlines over the last year, probably even ruffled a few feathers back east. Do you regret anything you've said or done over the last year?
Well, to any kid out there from Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh will always be my family. Those guys gave me a chance when I was a 21-year-old kid. Obviously, people listen to the things that are being said and written. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you make people feel. I think I made people feel really great and really inspired, the way they watched me go to work, the way they watched me play. And, I know Still the Nation is having a bad day today, but it's always love. Encourage every kid who watched me work and inspired by everything I've done. And I hope I continue to be a good example, continue to be a good role model, and continue to inspire people all over.
Antonio, Josh about from Associated Press. You've been on a team that's been in the playoffs a lot, been in contention a lot. This organization obviously hasn't had that success in recent years. What makes you think that things can change here, and what can you bring to make that happen?
I bring accountability. I bring actions. Not what I say, what I do. How I approach things. Holding guys accountable in the receiving room. Developing a pot. Challenging guys if we drop a ball. We're gonna have a pot. Just super accountability. Hold it. Maybe at the end of practice when I'm doing my jug machine, bring the whole group over to see the jug machine. That way, every guy in the group know, hey, we count on you to make that catch. I'm there watching you work, making that catch too, because when we all there, we there together. So, bringing some of the principles and some of the things that make good camaraderie and build good teams, some of the things I know, just, whatever needed. Being here, being a leader, and taking hold of this thing full rounded.
Antonio, Jerry McDonald from the Bay Area News Group. Coach Gruden has talked before about how hard.
Hey, JP from the P.
Mike Mayock came right out of the gate and started talking about it. Your reputation was that way in Pittsburgh too. Where does that come from? Where do you think the work ethic comes from?
I come from my grandma. My family. Never being content. Always being hungry. No matter what stage you get in life, you always gotta progress and grow. So no matter what I do, it's always a fresh slate, a restart and refocus, and never getting content, just always getting better each day.
Grant Cohn, Santa Rosa Press, Democrat. John, when the Raiders drafted Amari Cooper, you were on television and said he was the vertical threat the team needed. When you traded him, Mark Davis said he didn't fit your system. My question is, how do you plan to adjust your system to accommodate Antonio's skill set and get him the ball downfield as frequently as the Steelers did?
I'm not sure what the point of your question is regarding Amari Cooper.
You were on television and you said he was the vertical threat that the Raiders needed, and then when you traded him, Mark Davis said he didn't fit your system. And my question is, do you need to adjust your system to accommodate Antonio Brown's skill set and get him the ball down the field as frequently?
No, we won't have to adjust anything with this guy. And we didn't have to adjust much with Amari, but this is not about comparing receivers today. We want to continue to improve this football team. We don't want to have a good receiving core. I want to have the best receiving core in football, and I think to have the best, you got to have the best. And in my opinion, we acquired the best wide receiver in football, and let's get to work.
Antonio, Paul Gutierrez here from ESPN. Two-part question here. First, how much did John Gruden being here have an effect on your decision to accept the trade to come here to play in his offensive system? And secondly, how strange is it knowing that you'll only be here for 1 year before going to Las Vegas?
Well, Mr. Gruden played everything in my decision with coming here. Obviously, he's an offensive guru. You get excited just talking with him. He got so much knowledge of the game. He's coached some of the greatest players ever, so he knows what it takes. You know, he's done been around the game, from in the game, outside the game, and his knowledge is so amazing. He did his homework on me. He done seen every play I played in, every interception. He got the details. He's a highly professional guy. Always make sure you're highly prepared. He covered every variables when he studied players. I was just sitting with him. He spoke to 16 interceptions. He don't want to talk about what you do well. He always want to focus on the things that we could do to be even that much more better. And when you have a coach like that, you know, it's like your dad. You know, you want to be around him because you know he's not going to build you up for what you're doing. You know, he's going to encourage you on how you always could get better. And when you got a guy like that who always going to help you improve and grow, that's the type of guy you want to be around. And that's the type of guy you want to play for. And back to your other questions. For me to be here in Oakland, a part of the Oakland Raiders, and be able to be on the last team that has ever be here in Oakland, that's something special in itself. So it's pressure in that, it's excitement in that, and there's a lot that come with that. And I'm here today ready to embrace all that.
Hey folks, I'm going to move forward just actually quite a bit, because this is a 28-minute, as you can see, presentation, and I just want to wrap it up so we can get to exchanging what we hear, and I'll right here. So
taken, or any particular measures taken to make sure that this is all sustainable moving forward?
1 second. See what these questions.
Now that we got to upheld, you know, receivers, we need an accountability system.
Yeah, I heard the accountability part.
And so when Derek Carr walk in the room, he see all the receivers. This guy owed this guy owed this. You know, so everyone have that accountability factor, because if everyone held accountable, you know, we got to be at a certain standard. So I'm just here to set certain standards, you know, hold guys accountable, and just uplift the tradition of, you know, it's unacceptable to accept not our best, you know what I mean? So that's kind of my attitude. You know, we're still shaping the team. You know, I can't do it all in one day, but this is a first start to kick off me being here and us doing some positive things moving forward.
David Lombardi with The Athletic. This is for Mike. I know that you've made many significant investments here in the last few days, and probably still more are coming. How do you feel? Are you comfortable with where you are in regards to the salary cap, and were there any measures taken, or any particular measures taken to make sure that this is all sustainable moving forward?
I think the most important thing is be sustainable over a long period of time, and we're good with the cap. I think the wild card in our planning, and I mentioned we spent an awful lot of time with free agency, the wild card was all of a sudden understanding that this guy might be available. That was the wild card. Okay, that was not in our free agent planning. And when all of a sudden we realized we might have an opportunity to compete for his services, it changed everything. And I think when you get a chance to, you've heard John talk about passion and love for the game. You've heard me talk about it. Both of us have watched this guy compete and play at if he sustains it at a Hall of Fame level. Okay, and he's in the prime of his career. There's nobody in better shape. And when John and I had that first conversation in Vegas about potentially trading for the rights to Antonio Brown, there was no hesitation. It was all about, both of us thought his play spoke for itself, but even more importantly, what it would do in the locker room and the energy around the building. Now, on the heels of that, the Trent Brown thing was amazing. Coach Gruden kept talking about getting the Brown brothers. And Trent was our #1 ranked tackle in this situation. He was also represented by Drew. Drew was really important because there was a lot of competition for this guy. So, you know, when the league season started, or the open negotiating started on Monday morning, we had to be prepared, ready to go, and our department was. We had an offer ready to go, and it was aggressive, and Drew recognized it, and it was one of the few teams that Trent wanted to go to. And so I think what you're seeing, and what I'm most excited about, is when an Antonio Brown endorses the Oakland Raiders, and then a Trent Brown jumps in, and then LaMarcus Joyner jumps in on top, there's not only an energy in the building, but all of a sudden there's this energy around the NFL where other players want to come here.
Yep.
We've had an awful lot of phone calls in the last 48 hours that are just exciting. And again, is it sustainable? Yes. Are we going to be able to spend this kind of money in the foreseeable future? No. But we're very comfortable where we are against the cap.
Grant Cohn, Santa Rosa Press Democrat. Antonio, how familiar are you with John Gruden's offensive system? What do you like about it, and how do you feel it suits what you like to do?
Well, he's a Gruden grinder. You know, he's going to study every detail. He's going to study every precision. He's going to put you in the situations to be successful. We already been talking about different formations to line me up in different positions, different verbiage that we could use so I could get lined up faster. I mean, he's a real genius at offense. He's an offensive guy. He loves offense, and he's really smart. You know, just the details of how he studied. I just told you earlier today he got a clip of 400 plays with details on every play, even the good and the bad. And he rarely talks about the good one. He always focuses on the bad. Hey, you had an interception right here. It was a back shoulder throw right here. What happened? So he's always searching for the cylinder. You know, he's never content of you're the best. It's constant improvement. He's all about the Kaizen, just constant improving and growing. And that's the guy you want to be around.
Mike, Jerry McDonald again from the Bay Area News Group. You alluded to this a little bit before. I think the owner of the Washington Redskins once said of George Allen, I gave him an unlimited budget and he exceeded it. Yeah, and I'm wondering how close you are to that right now.
We had nowhere near an unlimited budget. And again, the curveball that came out of nowhere, thankfully, was Antonio. So we were willing. And what it really comes down to, Jerry, is you've got a finite number of dollars. How do you want to spend it, right? And when he became available potentially to us, we kind of had to take that sheet of paper out and relook at it as to how many players we thought we could successfully chase or not. So he was kind of the trigger to the rest of what we did. And I think, you know, hindsight will be 20/20 a year from now, but we feel like we upgraded the Raiders with 3 big signings, and we're excited to keep working on it.
Matt Schnuppman, Antonio, a quick two-parter to finish. How many more years do you think you have as a #1 wide receiver in this league, and why no more yellow mustache? People seem to be interested in that.
Well, I'm here. My goal really is to catch Jerry Rice.
There you go.
Playing with a guy like Coach Gruden, obviously you know what it takes to keep me upright and fresh, and to keep me out there for a long time. So, you know, securing this challenge is a challenge every year to prove my love for the game. You know, and I'm just taking it 1 year at a time. You know, obviously my goal in the back of my mind to catch Jerry Rice. And every year I have to prove my love. So this year I'm out here to prove my love that what I could do and what I could be. You know, nothing in the NFL is ever guaranteed or set in stone. So I know these guys believe in me, but it's a lot for me to prove here. So I'm here to prove who I am and what I stand for, not just my words, but my actions. And, you know, hopefully you guys see what I'm about, more so what I say, but more so what I do.
One last question, Felicia.
Thanks. Felicia Purcell for Sports of the Bay. Welcome to Oakland. You're joining another team that is enriched with history. How much do you know about the tradition of the Raiders and the city of Oakland as a whole? And you talked about setting the tone and touchdowns. Have you thought about what your first leap into the black hole is going to be like?
Well, I was at the park earlier. We was throwing some routes, and some guys from Oakland was out there watching, and they was pretty excited. I caught one long pass, and guys was like, they was excited for me to jump in the black hole. So I'm looking forward to the experience. I'm looking forward to, you know, leaping in the black hole, getting fans excited, you know, celebrating with Derek, celebrating with the guys. So I'm just here today, just the beginning of a great journey, and hopefully you guys are excited moving forward.
And there you go. So, folks, that was a great press conference. I want to add something that had I been there, I would have asked her. If had I sent somebody there, I would have texted them to ask, and that is this question. That is, talk about Derek Carr being a man of God, you being a man of God, and how that collective faith plays a role in your relationship with him, because that's not something that Antonio Brown had with Ben Roethlisberger and really led to their problems, okay? If Roethlisberger had been more car-like, okay, in how he worked with Brown, Antonio Brown would still be a Pittsburgh Steeler. But Antonio decided he had enough of being treated that way and decided to speak out and defend himself against his quarterback who attacked him. So, all right. So, there you go. Something else, too, that, you know what I find particularly vexing is, well, they kind of got to it, but the way media is going today, there's going to be a point, and you're seeing bits of it, where companies are going to have their own media outfits. They're not going to leave it open to some organization who claims to be objective, okay, coming in and asking questions. They'll allow that, but the voice will be more there. So you're seeing that to a degree with NFL Network. We've got Raider.com there. It's happening little by little. Zenny62 Media, we help organizations ignored by the mainstream media get their word out, all right? And that's what my company does, because today you have so few media compared to the past. And the dirty little secret is that the media dictated what people saw. Like, I remember Phil Bronstein said to me, actually said this to me in an interview you can watch right here at Zenny62, that we did back in September 2009, where he said, we're talking about the internet and the role of news in the future because of the internet. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, that the role of the journalist would be as gatekeeper, in a sense, you know, basically telling you what stories are important. Now, think about how arrogant that is. I mean, nothing against Phil. I love Phil Bronstein. But think about how arrogant that is. We're going to tell you what to think. Well, you don't want somebody telling you what to think. You decide what to think. And encapsulated in that comment from Phil Bronstein is everything you need to understand about why old media is failing. Okay? That it's right there, all right? It's right there. That's it. You know, that's it. That's it. So anyway, I go on. I'm going to go back to your comments, and I'm going to work most recent comment back. Hey, Raider Gans, thank you for the, thank you very much. That's the first time I've had a investment in some time, so I have to fire up the spreadsheet. That outstanding. Thank you, Raider Gans. Raider Gans says, what's up, all? AB, Antonio Brown, good addition, but I think everyone's forgot the Raiders gutted the whole team. What do you mean, Raider Gans? You mean, let me come back to that. When I say what do you mean, can you explain that? And I'm going to read the other comments. John Acala says, I want to see what Chris Warren can do. Joseph Amendera says, I'm sure everyone caught when Gruden gave the reporter the stink eye when he asked about Amari Cooper. Yeah, he wanted to fight about that one. Because he basically was saying, hey, man, you want to be a man and basically tell me that you didn't like something you thought I said? That's what he's looking like. What are you talking about? And look, it's a function. It's a fact that they're only human. Hey, thank you, Arcade. Thank you very much for the investment. This is fantastic. At any rate, JP from the P said, what's up? Muhammad says, I guess Raiders believe in Warren to be the next man up. They need one more guard and tackle. And John Marks says, I still say Oakland is getting a raw deal letting the Raiders play at the Coliseum. Hey, John, by the way, did you get my tweet? I want you and my friend Jessica to get together. She's got a great horror movie show. I've had them on. I think you were here when her partner was on. They have an affiliate program I think is right up your alley. I don't know if you got that or not. NorCal 408 says Raiders still have no offensive line or running game. Can you explain that? Enigmatic Elephant. The Enigmatic Elephant. You got to see this, folks. I'm not making this up. You can't make this up. Look. Enigmatic Elephant. Oh, John Acala, you can invest in two ways. It says, do you see that vid of AB visiting Carr's house? He was happy as blank. Yeah. You can visit by clicking on, like here, if you want to visit, if you want to invest, excuse me, in visit. You can click on this, right? And super chat and show a highlighted message. And that's how you see it says show your support by clicking on the $ that way. Or you can, if you want to go to, you can do it that way, or you can go, we have a PayPal link, which I can put there, which is also equally, let's see, a PayPal, and Zenny62, right there. And yeah, it's invest in Zenny right here. So this is the link right here. You can go to this link and invest. When I say invest, it means that I send you back a spreadsheet that shows you your investment shares. It's not tradable in the actual public market. It's representative. However, I do follow and adhere to it. I've had people who wanted to cash out, so I gave them their monies back, right? You know, I gave them not just the monies, but what the market value of the investment was at that time. Plus, in some cases, a little bit more. Some people, hey, you know, they get short and maybe they invested $2, but they're just they need money from every source or whatever, or they're just mad at me. That happens. Okay, so, but that's the system, and it's done, I think, you know, fairly well. So Sean Watson says he's glad that Antonio Bryant got rid of the blonde mustache. Me too. Citron says they don't mention Randy Moss. They don't do they? But I think it's a matter of not any disrespect for Randy Moss, but I think what it is, I don't think it's disrespect for Randy Moss at all. I think it's simply acknowledgement of the fact that Jerry Rice was was the Raiders' most prolific receiver, but he wasn't truly a Raider. Jerry Rice was a San Francisco 49er that came over to the Oakland Raiders and had a tremendous career as an Oakland Raider, all right? No question about it. He remains the receiving gold standard overall for the Raiders, but I still say that, for me, Cliff Branch was, for his day, even more effective. And I say that because Cliff Branch was a Raider from the start, all right? Not taking anything away from Jerry Rice. Met Jerry, I'm acquainted with Jerry, I love Jerry. That's not the point. But I'm simply saying that, look, speed kills. Jerry was a combination of size, speed, quickness, and precision. When I think of Jerry Rice, I think of size, speed, quickness, and precision. I don't think of him as a burner. Antonio Brown is a burner. Cliff Branch is a burner. All right, this is gonna be fun, man. Oh my gosh! Thank you very much for the investment. Thank you. I will fire it. Thank you very much. But the burner, he is a complete burner. Antonio Brown. Now, Oakland Nation says Noah or TJ Hawkers. I didn't. And then Joseph Amendoras says props to one of your viewers yesterday who was suggesting that we sign Williams, and we did. He improves our vertical game. He and Brown. Brown, and Jared Cook, if the Raiders can maintain Cook. Something else. And so, okay, so we got all that. I talked about the Monty Pool stuff. I'm not going to rehash all that. Thank you all very much for these investments. Moving forward. Raider Gan says, Jerry Rice had one of the worst commercials ever with that Kentucky Fried Chicken. What? Wait a minute. I get Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial? Jerry, oh, if I sell that, it'll be a copyright thing. If I show it, not sell it. Now you got me thinking about chicken. Finger licking good, as the Colonel would say. Finger licking good. Sean Grogan says, gotta add a running back to complement our new passing game. Trade for Howard or draft Rodney Anderson 3rd round. Go defense early and often in the draft. Sean, I like here's what I want to know. And oh, by the way, newsflash. Zenny62 Media has once again been approved for the NFL annual meeting, this time in Arizona. So, and that is starting March 24th, okay? So I'm going to aim to be there. I haven't gone to a lot of places because of my mom's health. So that's a wild card out there, just, you know, alerting everybody. But I'm honored to, once again, be invited to cover the NFL annual meeting, and we're going to talk about the rules changes and everything else. So I'm excited, really excited. Okay. Now moving forward, and by the way, I'm looking. If anyone wants to sponsor, if you have a burning corporate brand you want presented during my coverage at the NFL annual meeting, send me an email at Zennie. Zennie at zennie62.com, and let's chop it up, as they say. That's the new term, isn't it? Do I sound old saying that? Good. I'm glad. That was the purpose of it. Welcome to Zennie62 on a Wednesday night, everybody. Raider Gann says, do you remember it had the chicken in front of his helmet spinning rotisserie style? What? All right, man, hold on a second. Let me see. This is going to be funny. Wait, Jerry Rice. I'm trying to avoid cracking up. So because I'm trying to hold it in, the laughter, at the same time I type Jerry Rice KFC, right? Kentucky Fried Chicken. It was actually a Popeyes commercial. Now, how do I know it was a Popeyes commercial? Well, I know because of this. This is what you're talking about. Hey, thank you, John. This is it, all right? Taste mask. How you like them apples? Taste mask. I mean, look at this. It's got the chicken bone in front of his nose. I mean, you know what? I mean, all I have to do, I certainly hope Jerry got paid for that one. I really do that. That's hilarious. Oh, and by the way, look at this. This is how messy he got, all right? Thank you, John. Appreciate the investment, and I'll take care of the shares tonight. Look at that. Wow. Got a little messy there, did Jerry? So let's hope that Antonio Brown's future with the Oakland Raiders doesn't lead to commercials like that. Like I said, look, the downfall is that you are forever linked with chicken wings and a helmet and a shirt that looks like a Tommy Bahama shirt. It's like a Tommy Bahama shirt, doesn't it? Because, I mean, I should know because I have a Tommy Bahama shirt, but it looks like, let me go back and look at this for a second, because that looks like a Tommy Bahama shirt he had on, does Jerry Rice. And yeah, it is. Look at this, all right? This is one of those, bingo, look at that. That is a Tommy Bahama shirt. All right? Look at his messed up mouth and everything. Oh my gosh! You know what? I gotta cue it up so that if I ever have a chance to get Jerry on the show one day, I can then pull that up. By the way, speaking of people on the show, J.J. Lasley, Carl Mosley, the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Operating Officer of the Freedom Football League, will not be on tomorrow night, but they will be on next Wednesday night, and then they're going to be in Oakland. So for those who are in Oakland, they're planning a happy hour, and they're trying to figure out the place that Thursday night. I've suggested some places, a lot, but as soon as I know that venue, I'll let you know. I will not attend that. I will be here unless something changes. We'll see. Everything is kind of in flux, but the whole point is we'll see. So now, money. Oh, I believe, yeah. Joseph Amendola says, I think if Chris Warren plays like he did preseason, we're going to have an interesting backfield. Hopefully Lynch signs back with the team. Should we be worried that his name is brought up? No, I don't think so, but my take, I said this a year ago, and I'll say it again. I believe the Raiders need to look for a true breakaway running back that, now you would say, what? Marshawn's a breakaway running back. Well, hold on a second. Let me put a finer point on him. A breakaway running back who's not breakable. Someone that, and I don't have a particular person in mind. Well, actually, I do, Nick Chubb. But that's the point. Someone who is, I hear Rodney Anderson, Josh Jacobs. Someone who is preferably, not after 30 yards, right. But someone who I think can really take a defense and give that defense pause. All right, and all right, that should be the template. And I say that because, look, the way the Raiders' offense is shaping up, how would I express this? Well, I even have a new passing attack I've been fooling around with, another Antonio Brown play. My point is, they're going to do more passing than running. You want someone such that when they get the ball, that slasher can pick up for you 10 to 15 yards a pop. If you play a spread offense, and I don't mean spread just in terms of design, but actually spreading the defense, all right? Literally creating holes for running back to run through. Think about the Baylor offense, all right? If you do that, that would be a wonderful complement to this talent of Antonio Brown, Terrell Williams, and Jared Cook, right? So that really, I think, should be the Raiders' key. And so the question is, who should the Raiders focus on in the NFL draft that might, bring them that kind of punch, that might be the next, well, I can't think of any running back that's out there that's on the far in the draft, of Saquon Barkley, okay? Sean Watts says Marshawn can do it if he has the blocking. This is not let me say this. This is in no means intended to present an anti-Marshawn Lynch presentation. But I believe Marshawn is good for short. I think he's getting to that point where I can't see him lasting a season. All right? And I believe the Raiders need a Todd Gurley type running back, somebody you can put in there, or again a Nick Chubb, someone like the Browns, someone you can put in there and turn around and say, this guy is going to be our ball carrier. He's going to be our, I don't like the term, someone uses the term bell cow, right? And my issue, a lot of people like Josh Jacobs. I think he's okay. My issue is that Josh Jacobs reminds me in a way, well, look, like many Alabama running backs, they're great coming in college, but when they hit the NFL, they don't become that guy. All right, it's always someone else, like the Georgia gang, right? And so I'm not exactly high on Jacobs as others are, to be that person. And we have the calls for, there's Damian Harris, who's also at Alabama, and then Rodney. But I just am not. I'm not sold. There's also, Devin Singletary of Auburn, right? But think about all these guys are SEC guys. So in total, theoretically, with respect to the NFL draft, any one of those gentlemen will be a net contributor to your team. All right? But I'm not sold on the Alabama guys. And it's only because I haven't seen an Alabama guy that has come out with promise and taken that talent and soared in the NFL. Look at Derrick Henry, right? Look at Trent Richardson, okay? You just go down the line of the Alabama running backs, and for whatever reason, when they get to the NFL, you know, they don't quite pan out. Now, you bring up Bryce Love. I'm just going to say this straight out. I like the idea of Bryce Love in the open space, but with Bryce, you've got to have a smash mouth offensive line and approach to getting anything out of him. Because Bryce is a gliding runner, but in the NFL with better talent, with faster defenders, he's going to be more disappointing than not, unless your intent is to throw to him. Now, having said that, here is where Bryce Love stands head and shoulders above other running backs coming out of college and into the NFL. Bryce Love was coached by David Shaw, and David Shaw teaches and insists on his running backs knowing how to block. A number of NFL head coaches, Dirk Cutter was notable for this with the Bucs. Dirk Cutter hated the idea of starting rookie running backs, and he said so in one interview because he said that you have to. He said in a lot of the systems spreads, the running backs are not taught to block. All right, so you have to spend the extra time teaching a person to block that. If they were in a Stanford offense, wouldn't be the case. Bryce Love comes in with a huge advanced advanced set of teaching that others don't have. Okay, so anyway, Sean Groy says Mark Ingram has been the best in years. Agreed. And Joseph Mendes, who do you see in the combine you think might fill that void? What about Alabama's running back? I think I answered that one. And you know, so yeah. And Raider Gann says, can Carr be trusted to be the consistent? To be consistent. Let me try this again, Raider Gans. I apologize. Can Carr? This is what Raider Gans asks, so you can read it along with me, folks. Can Carr be trusted to be consistent the whole season as a passer? He also needs to start running the ball again to open the field up. Honestly, they should get Cap as a backup. That depends on John, okay? Because look, the one thing is, you know, John. I remember John said last year, talking about Oakland Raiders head coach John Gruden. At one point, they were going to seek a scenario where the quarterback was gaining 250 yards, both in the air and on the ground per game. All right, and and then he brought in was a Josh Johnson from the New York Giants, and I thought that Josh Johnson was going to be the focal point around a kind of read options set that Gruden would install. Not that he was going to replace Carr with Johnson, but maybe he has this package that's the Johnson package, right? The race car package or something like that. That didn't pan out. So John, for reasons I think that may have to do with Mark Davis saying, hey, look, I want you to feature Carr and not do that. I'm just speculating, all right? And the general manager, Reggie McKenzie, communicating that idea to Gruden. That's how, you know, things happen. We didn't see that, okay? So this year, we just have to wait and see with John, all right? Because John says he's going to do a certain thing, and he doesn't end up doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And I'm not saying he's being dishonest. I'm saying that he's being pleasing, all right? He's being a politician. He's not going to say, I'm not going to do that unless it's, you know, wildly ridiculous. All right. So, now Sean Watson says Marshawn can do it if he has the blocking. And I made a comment about that one. John Collins says, are Mark Davis and Mark Benet expected to be at the JPA meeting vote on Friday? No. I'll double check on that, but no. And so Joseph Benson says, should Oakland Raiders take a look at Eric Berry? I don't see why not. Oh, as much as I really enjoyed interviewing Eric Berry when he came out of the NFL draft right here at Zinni 62, I would have to say the answer is no. And the reason is that Eric has some health challenges that I believe would, I'll just say it, would add up to a death sentence for him if you brought him into your team and pushed him. Now, if you brought him in and were happy with him in a limited role, such that you were confident you get the best out of him, the question is, do you want to do that? You know, what's the upside of having that, of having Mr. Berry in the limited role? And he's a ball hawk. He's very instinctive when healthy, okay? So if you could figure out a way, calculatively, all right, calculatively, to design a personnel use system that allows him to maintain a limited role from a health perspective, yeah, I think it's a valuable outcome, all right? But not full, all right? Not full. And I believe at some point you have to fish or cut bait. And I think with Eric Berry, it's time, sadly, to cut bait. I don't say that. I say that with this proviso. I certainly hope I'm wrong. All right, because I think Eric Berry is a fine individual who has who's had a lot of challenges, overcome a lot, and is an inspiration to a lot of people. So I say this: I hope to God I'm wrong, but I believe that is the smart choice. Okay, I really do. So we got Joseph Amenderes wants us to clone Marcus Allen. Joseph Binsman says, should Raiders take a look at Eric Berry? I can answer that question. Sean Grogan says, I believe in Carr, but this is Carr's make or break season, thus the free agents being brought in so far. I think that Derek would do well to be pushed by a backup quarterback, and I think the Raiders need to bring in a backup quarterback for the future. I've said Tyree Jackson, all right? And remember, there's still that Kyler Murray possibility out there, although I think that's less and less. And I think that it would be too much money to spend. I can't see the Raiders going in that direction myself, particularly given what Mike Mayock said at the press conference and what their numbers look like. So I don't think that they're in the Kyler Murray sweepstakes. But, you know, you say stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, hey, right? I mean, or, hey, Kyler Murray fell to us, so we had to take him. You know, that sort of thing, right? This feels like that year. Because something else that I'm looking to I'm looking forward to, okay? I'm looking for this. I'm looking to see what happens with Teddy Bridgewater. Because the Saints have not, I'm double checking there, the Saints have not signed him. The Dolphins are negotiating with him. The Dolphins' negotiations with Teddy Bridgewater seem to favor QB Will Team Blink, all right? So, and this was only 7 hours ago that this came out in NFL.com, and then Miami Herald came out with this 2 hours ago, and it's 1:49 in the morning, all right? So we've got, and this is by Armando Salguero, and Armando writes, remember when Armando didn't have glasses, scrolling down here, but the Saints have not signed him, all right? The Saints have not signed at all Teddy Bridgewater. And I have to say candidly, I love how the Dolphins have decided that they're going to assemble every freaking talented African-American person in the NFL at once. I mean, think about it. You've got their coach, Brian Flores, right? Then you've got offensive coordinator, that's Jim Caldwell, okay? You've got all these talent, Reggie McKenzie's on the staff, all of these talented African-Americans at different positions of decision-making. And then they will bring in, it seems like they could bring in Teddy Bridgewater to be the icing on the cake. I think Mr. Ross, who is also a Democratic donor, even though he's registered Republican, is trying to make a statement about pushing an end game toward the ruining rule and everything by saying, you know what, I'm going to end this by putting together this star team of talented black folks, and I'm going to shove it down your throat, and we're going to go and we're going to win a Super Bowl. That's what I believe is in Mr. Ross's head, okay? So, all right. So at any rate, the Dolphins are looking for starting quarterback, and Armando says, put another way, the Dolphins are the NFL's only team that can offer any veteran a chance to be the starting quarterback because the 31 other starting jobs are filled. And Teddy wants to start, okay? So I can't see Teddy Bridgewater coming to the Raiders. But I'm wondering what Blake Bortles would do, right? I mean, you have Blake Bortles out there who was basically pushed aside by Nick Foles. And I'll tell you why that was in a second. All right, at least my theory, okay? You'll laugh, all right? But I think, all right, so where it says here is Bridgewater and his camp have the team by the negotiating advantage. And he says the Dolphins are in the strange position of needing a starting quarterback but not wanting to pay full freight for one in free agency because veteran starting quarterbacks, even unremarkable ones, cost $16 million annually and up. The reason the Dolphins don't want to pay that much is partly because they're going to carry at minimum some $7 million in dead money on the Ryan Tannehill contract, who never panned out from Texas A&M, and mostly because what they intend is to eventually draft their real starting quarterback of the future, either in this draft or the next. So the team is hoping to win on several fronts. Miami wants to find a veteran starter, pay him below NFL market value, draft rookie franchise QB guy, and let the situation between those two players develop however it may over the next year or two, which I think is smart. I think the Raiders should do that with Carr, because the Raiders need to think about the future of quarterback going into the years coming up. So anyway, Armando says the Dolphins apparently approached Bridgewater days ago, and whatever happened in those talks only convinced Bridgewater's camp to leak to the NFL Network that Bridgewater was going back to New Orleans as the backup and heir to Drew Brees. The Dolphins, I'm told, had another starter option in Tyrod Taylor. Dope! Except Taylor had experience with the idea of assigning a team starter and then being summarily replaced by a prized rookie, Baker Mayfield. It happened to him in Cleveland, right. Tyrod didn't want to do that again. So rather than become the Miami Dolphins bridge starter, Tyrod Taylor signed with the San Diego Chargers as the backup to Phillip Rivers, okay? So this is hilarious, all right? And so the Dolphins still had channels of conversations open with Bridgewater, and this is where Armando writes it's going to get interesting. So he says, this will crack you up, all right? This is a good read. I mean, I don't often say that, but this is a good read. Armando's on fire today, boy. He's talking about Armando Sargundo with the Miami Dolphins. At any rate, he's on fire with this one. But then he goes on to say, well, the Dolphins still had a chance of channels of conversation open. And then he says, last year when Bridgewater was searching for a team, the Dolphins were the first team to reach out to him. The full details of that exchange were in that space in August, but the key element was that Bridgewater's agent wanted a one-year deal for $15 million. That's what Bridgewater wanted when the idea was for him to merely compete for a starting job or be the backup. if that was the asking price in that situation, what do you think the price is going to be now that Bridgewater will be coming to Miami as the unquestioned starter? Well, yeah, it's going to be more. So, and Bridgewater's right, okay? So, at any rate, then Marmondo thinks that the guarantee will come into play, that he says that you're looking at $16 million, $18 million per season contract, and that he doesn't think that's going to work for Bridgewater, who may want more. He'll want when you add in incentives. So anyway, let's see. This is obviously not resolved, and I applaud Armando for writing a really great and informative piece there. Sean Grogan said Teddy's either going to Miami or staying put. He's going to get paid in Miami or take over a Breeze when he retires, which I think, if he wants to not be in a position where, because what Armando forgot was that Teddy was in the same position last year, the year before that, in the preseason, he was in the position in preseason, Teddy Bridgewater, where he was the starter. He was the guy who was supposed to start. And here comes Sam Darnold, right? And I said it before in this space, and I'll say it again. Brian Baldinger was wrong. Brian Baldinger is an awesome guy. But Sam Darnold had no business starting for the New York Jets. It should have been Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater would have taken the Jets to the playoffs, all right? And I say that with my Bernie Sanders-style gesticulations, all right? And that's not an endorsement. I'm just being funny, I think. But the whole point is that the situation there, I don't think, is one that Teddy Bridgewater wants to walk right back into with the Dolphins. He wants to be the starter, period. He's not going to sign up, be the starter, and then watch you sign up, draft some hotshot rookie, QB, and he's right back in the same position again. So he's theoretically better off staying with the Saints and being the heir apparent behind Breeze. All right? So as he works out. Now, I'd love to see him with the Dolphins, but the Dolphins need to commit to him all the way. So, hey, Richard Hike, how you doing? So did Lissette walk in? At any rate, Joseph says, like I said, I think it's all relative to team's needs, but let me see what I missed there with respect to her. She did. Lissette asks, who do you think is making the best moves so far in free agency? Cleveland, Oakland, or Baltimore? Well, Oakland. Okay? Because the Raiders have, in bringing in the Browns and Williams, and I think the Raiders have really, completely, 1,000,000% completely remade themselves. I mean, they made Oakland, the Raiders of Oakland, a place, an organization that that players want to be at. And that's really saying something, okay? It's not, it's saying something, okay? So, I have to say it, it is a testament to the strategy that Mike Mayock has implemented, and it's a positive statement on the Raider organization that Mayock has been given the room to do that with Gruden, and that's really a nice situation. I haven't seen anything like this in quite some time. All right, I haven't seen anything. Yeah. In quite some time, I haven't seen anything like that, all right? So, I know there are people who don't like the fact that the Raiders parted ways with Asamele, but they took that money and they turned it around, and basically that money became Williams, right? That money became Williams, okay? So it's a good start to NFL 2019. And the sad part about it is Gruden now has no excuse, okay? As far as I'm concerned, he had no excuse last year. But this year, he has really no excuse, okay? I mean, really, really no excuse whatsoever. And he has to prove, and you would say, what's the problem, Zenny? He has to prove that his system is flexible. Because you can have all of the, the great players, all right? You can have all of the, fastest people. You can have the most durable, the strongest, all right? But look, if you're not putting them, if you're not putting them in the best position to make plays, what difference does it make, all right? What difference does it make, okay? So right? You're not setting yourself up to, you're not setting yourself up to really win. You're setting yourself up to look good. It's kind of like, well, this on paper should get us to the playoffs, the Super Bowl, but then you've got to make it happen. And I just have to say this. I'm really concerned that Gruden may not be able to do that, all right? And it's not for lack of want to. You can get up you could be the 3 a.m. president, right? You take that call at 3 a.m. Get up at 3 a.m., you're in the office early, you're working hard. But are you working hard on the right thing? And I don't ask this to be mean of Coach Gruden, who I really admire, all right? It's the scheme I'm concerned about. It's the thinking, all right? It's the thinking. That really bothers me. It really does. Sean Grogan says the Raiders haven't made enough moves or draft picks yet to be a playoff team. I believe the Browns have made good enough moves that can help them make a deep run in the playoffs. Sean Watson says, what do you think about Charles Woodson being DB coach? I mean, fine, but I don't think, nothing against Charles, I don't think that's the answer, all right? Benjamin says, Cleveland is winning free agency right now, but the Eagles getting Malik Jackson is sneaky good. Him and Fletcher Cox and that D-line will tear it up. Richard Hike says, did you ever find out what the last detail that nearly held up the Raiders' lease was? No. Hey, are you able to cover the JPA meeting again Friday? Just curious. We can work out the details later. I want to show you something, folks. Thank you, because you did a great job last time. This is my latest idea for Antonio Brown. Bam. Right here, okay? And, all right. And this one continues the whole Texas concept that I talked about before, right? And essentially, let me take this. The idea here is that, as you can see, we're spreading the defense, but we have Antonio Brown just a yard behind Cook. This is Jarrett Cook. Cook takes an outside release and goes straight up. Brown bellies out, but then comes back in. But at the 10-yard mark, all right, if he's getting inside coverage by the defender, if it's man for man, then he turns out. But if the defender is obviously beaten, if he cuts and the defender is behind him, if he has front, in other words, if it's here, because it will be a defender, right, he gets the ball here. And then look at this room to run, right? Look at that room to run. Isn't that nice? So the progression is 1. You always, in the Bill Walsh offense, you always look for the touchdown. This is, or as Pep Hamilton would call it, touchdown to check down. But in this case, the touchdown, the number 1 receiver, not really primary, is here. What he's doing is clearing out for Brown. In the Bill Walsh offense, the number 2 is really the primary here. Okay. This is kind of, some teams would use Cook as a decoy. I'm not doing that. And so we go 1, open, throw, 2, open, throw, or 3, open, throw, all right? And 3 is along the sidelines. So what you're looking for here, the key is the linebacker. If the linebacker goes in motion, it means we have man-for-man coverage, right? But it also means that we have this lane open, all right, to throw to. Now, if linebacker doesn't move and it's zone, or if the linebacker doesn't move, let's say the linebacker decides to blitz, all right? Under that, what we would have to do is, we were expecting a blitz, we would have to, well, sliding is dangerous. We would have to, I'm not even a fan of that. I'm a sliding offensive line. What I'm a fan of is, if I think he's going to blitz, who's covering him? Let's do a head count, all right? Accounted for, accounted for, accounted for. If he blitzes, nobody covers him. So guess what? You got to throw to him anyway if he blitzes. That could happen, folks. You're saying, hey, look, that wouldn't happen because it'd be a blown coverage. Yeah. Okay, I'm just saying. All right. Over here, same principle applies, pressure. Halfback gets an inside coverage, takes the outside release, runs the seam, all right? If he gets outside, he runs a skinny post, all right? The whole point is to exploit this hole. This is a pre-snap read. If you are certain you can exploit this, if the safety here is maybe cheating over a little bit to this side because you have Antonio, right? You want to exploit this. Or here, okay? Because again, you have choice. You want the back-on-backer, so you take advantage of that. But perhaps you have Mr. Williams over here, okay? If you have Mr. Williams over here, at the snap of the ball, this is a pre-snap decision. So at the snap of the ball, pre-snap, you're looking for the free safety. The free safety is stationed all the way over here. Heck, you know what? Just forget it. Boom. Just like Sean Grogan just wrote, you got to win those one-on-one battles, right? But the primary idea of this play is to isolate Antonio Brown here. That's the idea. Now, what I didn't incorporate in either of the plays, that I presented to you either last night or today is something that I love to do. Pre-shifts, okay? And pre-shifts are basically shifting from one formation to the other. Let me, or as Goldfinger would say, let me show you. It's like this, all right? I'm going to basically draw it up so you'll get an idea what I'm talking about. Move that out of the way. All right. So we would start, in this instance, with split back. So we have, I'm shading here, and I'm shading here, okay? So we have here, because we have the fullback and the halfback. But they start off split formation, right? This is an old Dallas Cowboys shift. Basically from split back to wing, right? Now, Cook here will be lined up here, right? From here, and you shift him out here. You already have Bryant as the flanker, but he's close in. All Jared Cook is going out to do is basically sort of meet him and form what I call the cluster. I call this the cluster. It's not a slot, it's a cluster. All right, this is a cluster. Okay, so then the fullback goes in motion. outside Antonio Brown. That's why it's, if you're trying to measure this, let's say this is the center of the field, okay? So what you would have is Bryant right at the number. So the numbers would be here, right? And then Cook just inside the numbers so that you're getting the ability to use the space over here. Fullback goes outside the numbers, right? Between the numbers and the sideline, goes up here. So we're pushing the defense to basically be at the perimeter, but look what we're doing. Exploiting the hole middle and creating this hole to throw to if we can pull the linebacker out of here, which most times you're going to be able to do. Now, defensively, you're not going to have a lineup exactly like this because this is sort of the 70s, 80s style where the linebacker's close, right? Now, what's really going to happen is the linebackers will be defensive backs and they'll be further back in the coverage, not able to chuck. If that's the case, you know, I would exploit that kind of distance by adding another instruction where once this is an adjustment based on in or out coverage, right? But if you get to the 10-yard mark, just stop. If there's no blitz, he's out there and he's, you know, playing zone. Stop. Why? You got all that hole. You got a hole there. Exploit that hole. Okay. So okay, but that's pre-shifting. We start off basically what's called a red formation, fullback, halfback, but we shift into this spread. All right. Spread wing, or if you like, we can call it the AB red, because we call the standard one red formation in Dallas Cowboys / Tom Landry parlance, which also goes back to Paul Brown. Paul Brown used colors to describe formations. Tom Landry borrowed that, as did Bill Walsh. All right. Who was the offensive coordinator for Paul Brown, right, at the Bengals. So, we then incorporate this pre-shift, right, and we delay the defense's ability to figure out, hey, that dang on ISO play is coming. Doggone it, Zenny. Fun stuff, all right, fun stuff. But Sean, you're absolutely right. Got to win the one-on-one battles. And Sean says, I don't think Cook is going to be with us. He's going to get paid out of the market. I certainly hope not. All right. I really hope not, because I feel the Raiders did not get as much out of Jared Cook as they could have. The first game against the Rams last year, that first drive where Cook ran with that kind of modified, that stick post route. Remember that? Cool stuff. And I don't know if that was a read. I don't know if that was an option route or not. It looked like it. It looked like it. But I expected John to do more of that with Jared Cook, excuse me. He's not a crook. And I was very disappointed he didn't. Very disappointed, okay? Sean says, I would like Gruden to use Antonio Brown like Andy Reid uses Tyreek Hill. Yeah, move him around, have him in a slot, and that's something that should have been asked at the press conference. I would love to have asked it. Instead of this, well, you know, you think about the media and, you know, what do you think about the people calling you names and what do you think about the, you know, brother. John Collins says, do Raiders only have 2 QBs on the roster currently, Carr and A.J. McCarron? Let's see the Raiders' current roster. I believe the answer is yes, but roster. But I want to confirm that. Player roster as of now. Let's go through it together, shall we? And then I'm going to skedaddle after that. It's 2:14. Let's see here. Active player. Antonio Brown, wide receiver. Derek Carr, quarterback. I think the addition of Terrell Williams is awesome compliment to the fleet-foot Antonio Brown and makes the Raiders passing game lethal, at least on paper. Let's scroll down here and find out the other QB. There's A.J. McCarron there, all right? And right now, it looks like that is about it. And I'm wondering if they're going to go into NFL 2019 with 2 quarterbacks, okay? Jeff Chart he'll update his summer during training camp. Knowing John, though, that's not going to sit that way. And so when you look at that quarterback situation, that's why I keep thinking that at the top end, the Raiders could be thinking we might have a shot at Kyler Murray. All right. Having said that, I believe Kyler Murray is going to the Arizona Cardinals. I really believe Kyler Murray is going to the Arizona Cardinals. He's everything. All the moves are pointing to that. Does that mean that Dwight Haskins goes to the Raiders? Right? Nathan Perlman was assigned to a reserve future contract. Right. But reserve future contract. Let me see something here. NFL. And thank you for pointing that out, because I honestly forgot that. Reserve future contract is, let's see here. Reserve future contracts. I'm trying to see what the cost to the team tends to be, all right? And as I recall, basically it's regular rules for minimum. It's the veteran minimum, okay? So he would get paid the veteran minimum. That gives a lot of room, and that's what I was looking at. That gives a lot of room. So Nathan Peterman's getting that, but that gives a lot of room for the Raiders to sign a more expensive quarterback. There's a lot of directions they can go. Do they bring in Blake Bortles? Would they have 3 quarterbacks, Blake Bortles, A.J. McCarron, and Derek Carr? I doubt it. I think it just really looks like they would have a rookie in there. That's how it looks. Now, let's see if it pans out that way. I think it is very dangerous to go into the season with just 2 quarterbacks. In fact, we saw a glimpse of what the Raiders would look like if Derek Carr were injured last year. All right? So I don't think that's a smart strategy. I don't at all. I don't at all. Chance Vaughn says that contract, talking about the reserve futures contract, is meant for the right to compete for a roster position. There you go. Well, yeah, I mean, but when I'm looking at, Chance, is the cost. All right? It's the cost. And what that small amount of money allows you to do in terms of flexibility to get another quarterback that's better. All right, that's what you see what I'm getting at? That's what I'm getting at. So, I mean, I see what you're saying. I appreciate that. John Collins says, I would give McGloin another shot. No, I think E.J. Manuel, well, it's too late now. He's with somebody else. But John I don't know why he didn't maintain the services of E.J. Manuel. E.J. had a quick release. He had a commanding presence. I don't know what was going on, but the ball flew out of his hand into the receiver. And I thought, boy, that opens up so many schematic possibilities. It's not funny. But that's me. All right. All right, folks. I am headed off to La La Land. Is that Dreamland? Yeah. Thank you all. Is there anything that I missed? Oh, wait a minute. The stadium. Hold your horses, because this is something I gotta show you. As I say, right now. All right. And I'm talking about Las Vegas Stadium. All right. Hey, you came in just in time, folks. You got to check this out. It is an interesting find, an interesting development, okay? There's the live stadium cam. It's dark, but I'm looking for 24-hour stream. Is that it? Let's see, that one that goes, this is it, yeah. All right. Okay, folks, this is right here. Stadium as it looks right now, or thereabouts. Okay, see that? March 13th. This is 10:20 p.m. Hey, good night, Lisette. Now I want you to check something out here. Look at this. All right, watch this. Okay, I'm gonna move this forward a bit to there. All right, and when this gets to February, I'm trying to move it up to where it gets to February. Let me move this up to where it gets to February. That's January. It's too close. Stop it here. Okay, stop it. All right. And I'm trying to get it to move out. It's not. Doggone it. Let me see here. Let's see here. I think I'll just let it run. Okay, I'm just going to let this run. And then let this develop. All right? But it's also too close. I don't know why they did. Wait a minute. That's why. Okay. Oops. It's trying to find out what. Let's see here. Oh, I get it. That's the speed. What I'm trying to do is get it so that it is a wider angle. Because it's not giving me that. Yeah, it's not giving me that. Hold on a second. And let me try something here. What's that? What's that? That. Let me try live. All right, and then I picked live. There. Play time lapse. Now it's okay. It's still too close. Hey, they changed something here. Why did they make this so close? This wasn't like that before. Let me speed this up a bit. Okay. They're covering up something here, and I'll show you what they're covering up. Let me go to here. All right, this was never this close before, all right? Let me stop this. It was a wider view. And what I noticed over here, there was a scaffolding that took a month to build, and now they're hiding it from camera view. Ooh, those so-and-sos. Hold on a second, folks. Gigapixel panorama. Let's do this. Yeah, there we go. All right. This is it. Okay. That. You see that? Folks, this set, this steel set took a month to develop. In the original live stream, if you ran it, starting February 13th, this piece existed. Then from February 13th to this day, March 13th, these pieces were added. Okay? So it took a month for this to form, and it's still not a place where they're ready to put it up here. But my point is that it took a month to get it there. All right? And then for some reason, they enlarged the stadium view for the live stream. Maybe it was accidental, not intentional, so that you don't see the development of this coming in. I saw it. I started to make a video of it right then and there, and I might if I reset it. I saw that, okay? All right? And you would say, what's the so what? The so what is that if it takes a month just to form that piece, it matches that news. What I was told that workers are quite literally sitting around waiting for pieces to come in to be ready to then be made to put in place. In that case, if it took a month for that, and then you have the situation over here where, all right, this is what's going on over here. Look at this, all right? This area is still not filled, but look what's going on down here. These seats are being filled. This is a new development right here, okay? That's a new development, all right? This is still not filled. Now, in the model, all this was filled in by now, but with this kind of steel over there, all right? But in reality, it's not here. So there's these little ways you can tell, in addition to the fact that there were supposed to be 1,400 people working on the site, and just eyeballing it, I don't see that. It looks more like 700 or 800, but it doesn't look like they actually ramped up to the 1,400 workforce crew they said they were going to have. And they have been very quiet regarding that. Now, I believe the next meeting of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, I believe it's tomorrow. Las Vegas Stadium Authority, okay? Hold on a second. Authority. Yeah, the next meeting of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority is March 21st, next week. All right? Now, if I click on meeting info, let's see if they filled in the agenda. And it looks like they have not. No. The last meeting was January 17th. So something's going on that they don't want us to know about. Just saying. Which shouldn't be that way when you're spending $750 million of the public's money. Okay. ML, how you doing, man? Thank you. Thank you, man. Bennett reports that Jared Cook is scheduled to meet with the Saints. Sad. And Chance asked me the question that everybody asks. I've answered it before. Yes. So, yeah. And I'll be back tomorrow night. Again, J.J. Lasley, the CEO, former Stanford great, the CEO of the Freedom Football League, will be on next week, Wednesday, not tomorrow. All right? Phew. All right, see everybody later. Great show. That was a 99-minute and 5-second and counting show. That was a long one, man. Thank you all, and thank you for the investments. I will fire up the spreadsheet and add your investments in tonight and get them out in a timely fashion for a change. I know it's been a while, but I've been so stressed with this whole, but, you know, I'm going to get back on track. All right, everybody. I'll see you guys later. I'm going to get back on track tonight. I'll see you guys later. Thanks.